The alarm bell rang through the mining ship at 5 in the morning. Jake Morrison rolled off his thin mattress and pulled on his work clothes. The metal floor was cold under his bare feet. Around him, 20 other humans were doing the same thing. They did every day for the past 3 years. "Another beautiful day in paradise," muttered Ben Rodriguez from the bunk next to Jake's. His dark hair was messy from sleep, and his brown eyes looked tired. Ben was only 25, but the hard work had aged him. Lines showed around his eyes when he tried to smile. Jake didn't answer. He had learned not to complain too much. The gray creatures that ran their ship had very good hearing. They also had no sense of humor about human complaints. The humans walked down the narrow hallway toward the mess hall. Their bare feet made soft sounds on the metal floor. Jake counted the people ahead of him without thinking about it. It was a habit now. 23 humans had started this job. Now there were 20-1.2 had been taken for reconditioning last month. They came back different. They still looked human, but something important was gone from their eyes. They worked harder than before and never spoke unless someone asked them a direct question. Jake tried not to think about what the aliens had done to them. The mess hall was a small room with long metal tables. Each human got 1 bowl of gray paste and 1 cup of water. The paste tasted like nothing, but it kept them alive and strong. Enough to work. Her blonde hair was always pulled back tight, and her blue eyes missed nothing. She had been a ship captain before the aliens came. Now she helped Jake keep their people alive. "The Zephyrians want us to work Section 7 today," Lisa said quietly. She kept her voice low. The tall gray aliens could hear conversations from across the room. "That's the dangerous area near the asteroid's core." Jake nodded. Section 7 had unstable rocks that could collapse without warning. Last year, humans from another ship had died there when a tunnel caved in. But the minerals in that section were worth more money, so the aliens wanted them. "We'll be extra careful," Jake said. "Check all the support beams twice." Amy Walsh looked up from her breakfast. She was the youngest on the crew, at 23. Her red hair was bright, even in the dim lights of the mess hall. Amy handled communications for the ship, though there wasn't much to communicate about. The aliens told them where to go and what to mine. Humans didn't get to ask questions. "I picked up something strange on the radio last night," Amy whispered. She looked around to make sure no aliens were listening. It was just static mostly, but there were patterns in it, like someone was trying to send a message. "Probably just interference from the asteroid field," Lisa said, but her eyes showed interest. "Maybe," Amy said, but it felt like more than that. Before Jake could answer, the door to the mess hall opened. Administrator Cathfar walked in. He was 7 feet tall and thin, like all Zephyrians. His skin was gray and smooth, and his large black eyes seemed to see everything at once. When he spoke, his voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. "Human workers will report to Section 7 in 15 minutes, Cathfar announced. "Production quotas have been increased by 20%. Any worker who fails to meet quota will be evaluated for reconditioning." The humans stopped eating. 20% more work meant they would have to take bigger risks to get the minerals out faster. Jake felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his face calm. Showing anger was a quick way to get reconditioned. "We understand, Administrator," Jake said. Cathfar's black eyes fixed on Jake. "Good. The Confederation requires these materials for an important project. Human efficiency must improve." After the alien left, the mess hall was quiet. Jake could feel the fear from his crew. They all knew what evaluation for reconditioning meant. It meant having your mind broken and rebuilt until you are no longer really human. "We'll work in pairs," Jake said softly. "Watch each other's backs. If anyone gets in trouble, call for help immediately." The humans finished their breakfast in silence, and they went to get their tools and equipment. Each person got a mining laser, a collection bag, and a small air recycler. The recyclers only worked for 8 hours, which meant they had to work fast. Jake strapped on his equipment and walked toward the shuttle bay. Through the small windows, he could see the asteroid, fields stretching out in all directions. Thousands of large rocks floated in the darkness of space. Some were as big as cities. The humans had been mining these rocks for months, pulling out rare metals that the aliens needed. The shuttle was cramped with all 21 humans inside. Jake sat next to the pilot's seat and looked out at their destination. Section 7 was deep inside asteroid XK739, a rock that was 5 miles across. The tunnels there were narrow and went down toward the center, where the most valuable minerals could be found. As the shuttle flew toward the asteroid, Jake thought about Amy's strange radio signal. For 3 years, he had accepted that this was his life now. Work, eat, sleep, repeat. The aliens had told them that Earth was gone, destroyed in a war. They had said that humans were lucky to be alive and working for the Confederation. But what if that wasn't true? What if there were other humans out there, free humans who hadn't been captured and turned into workers? The shuttle landed in the docking bay inside the asteroid. Jake could feel the artificial gravity pull him down as they walked out. The air smelled like metal and rock dust. Emergency lights cast strange shadows on the tunnel walls. "Stay close," Jake told his crew. "Remember, we're not just trying to meet quota today. We're trying to stay alive." Lisa activated her mining laser and began cutting into the tunnel wall. Sparks flew as the beam hit the rock. Ben checked the support structures, while Amy set up the communication equipment that would let them talk to the ship. Jake started his own laser and began to work. But part of his mind was still thinking about Amy's radio signal. Maybe it was just static from space. Or maybe, somewhere out there, other humans were trying to reach them. Maybe there was still hope for freedom. The work was hard and dangerous, but Jake kept going. He had to keep his people alive. And if there was even a small chance that humans could be free again, he had to find it, even if it killed him. 3 days passed after Amy heard the strange radio signal. Jake tried to focus on his work, but his mind kept wandering. The signal meant something. He was sure of it. The crew was eating their morning meal when Amy suddenly grabbed Jake's arm. Her green eyes were wide with excitement. "I heard it again," she whispered. "Last night, around midnight." It was clearer this time. Lisa looked up from her gray paste. "What did it sound like?" "Like numbers," Amy said, "but not random." They were coordinates. Jake felt his heart beat faster. Coordinates to where? "I don't know yet, but I wrote them down. If I'm right, they point to somewhere in the outer system." Ben leaned closer. "Why would someone send coordinates?" "Maybe they want us to find them," Amy said. Jake looked around the mess hall. The other humans were eating quietly. They looked tired and broken. Most had given up hope years ago. But Jake remembered what it felt like to be free. He remembered Earth before the aliens came. "Can you be sure about the coordinates?" Jake asked. Amy nodded. "I've been checking them every night. The signal comes from the same direction each time. It's definitely meant for us." Lisa shook her head. "This is dangerous talk. If the Zephyrians hear us... They won't," Jake said. "We'll be careful." That afternoon, the crew was working in Section 7 again. Jake was cutting through a wall of rock when he heard shouting. He turned off his laser and listened. "Help! The tunnel is collapsing." Jake ran toward the sound. He found Danny Foster, the youngest member of their crew, trapped under a pile of rocks. Danny was only 19 and had been with them for 6 months. His leg was caught under a large... Don't move," Jake said. He and Ben worked together to lift the rock. Danny's leg was badly hurt, but he was alive. "I'm sorry," Danny said. His face was pale with pain. "I was trying to work faster to meet quota. I didn't check the supports." "It's okay," Jake said. "We'll get you back to the ship." But when they returned to the ship, Administrator Cuthbert was waiting. His large black eyes looked at Danny's injured leg. "This human is damaged," the alien sighed. "Damaged humans are inefficient." "He just needs medical care," Jake said. "He'll be fine in a few days." "No," Cuthbert said. "This human questioned safety protocols to increase production. This shows dangerous thinking. He will be taken for reconditioning." Jake felt cold fear in his stomach. "Administrator, please." Danny made a mistake, but he's a good worker. "The decision is made," Cuthbert said. 2 guards will collect this human tomorrow morning." That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He lay on his thin mattress and thought about Danny. The boy was scared and hurt. Tomorrow, the aliens would take him away and break his mind. When he came back, he would be like the others, empty and obedient. Jake had watched it happen too many times. He couldn't watch it happen again. He got up and walked quietly to where Amy was sleeping. He shook her shoulder gently. "Amy," he whispered. "Wake up." She opened her eyes. "What's wrong?" "I need to hear those coordinates again." Amy sat up. "Jake, what are you thinking?" "I'm thinking that maybe it's time to stop being slaves." Amy looked scared, but also excited. "You want to escape?" "I want to try, but I need to know where we're going." Amy pulled out a small piece of paper. She had written numbers on it in tiny handwriting. "These are the coordinates." "But Jake, even if we could escape, how would we get past the Zephyrian guards?" Jake thought for a moment. "We know this ship better than they do. We've been working on it for 3 years. We know every room, every passage, every system." "The aliens have weapons," Amy said. "So do we," Jake said. "Mining lasers, cutting tools, explosive charges for breaking rocks. We just need to use them differently." The next morning, Jake gathered his trusted crew members. Lisa, Ben, and Amy met him in the storage room where they kept their mining equipment. "They're taking Danny for reconditioning in 2 hours," Jake sighed. "I'm not going to let that happen." Lisa looked worried. "Jake, if we fight back, they'll kill us all." "Maybe," Jake said. "But I'd rather die fighting than live as a slave." Ben picked up a mining laser. "These could cut through alien armor." "The ship has 6 Zephyrian guards," Amy said. "Plus Administrator Cuthbert. 7 aliens against 21 humans," Jake said. "But we have advantages. We know the ship's layout. We know where they keep their weapons. And they don't expect us to fight back." Jake pulled out a piece of paper. He had drawn a map of the ship. "The aliens always gather in the command center during shift changes. If we can trap them there, we can take control of the ship." "What about the other humans?" Lisa asked. "Some of them might not want to fight." "We'll give them a choice," Jake said, "but we won't force anyone." Amy looked at the coordinates again. "If we take the ship, we could follow these coordinates. Find out who's been sending the signals." Jake nodded. "Are you with me?" One by one, they agreed. Even Lisa, who was always careful, decided to join them. They spent the next hour preparing. Jake and Ben gathered cutting tools and explosive charges. Amy worked on the ship's communication system, trying to jam the aliens' ability to call for help. Lisa talked quietly to the other humans, explaining what they were planning. Most of the crew agreed to help. They were tired of being afraid. They were tired of watching their friends disappear into reconditioning. A few were too scared to fight, but they promised not to warn the aliens. Danny was in the medical bay, his injured leg wrapped in bandages. When Jake told him about the plan, the young man's eyes filled with tears. "You're doing this for me?" Danny asked. we're doing this for?" "All of us," Jake said. "But you started it. You reminded us that we're still human." At exactly noon, Jake gave the signal. Amy shut down the ship's main power, plunging everything into darkness. Emergency lights came on, casting red shadows everywhere. In the command center, the aliens were confused. They shouted at each other in their strange language. Administrator Kethfer activated his communicator, trying to call for help, but Amy had cut the communication lines. No signal was getting out. Jake and his team moved through the ship like ghosts. They knew every corridor, every room. The aliens were stumbling around in the dim light, but the humans could navigate by memory. Ben used his mining laser to cut through the door to the weapons storage. Inside, they found energy rifles and shock weapons. The humans armed themselves quickly. "Remember," Jake whispered to his team, "we're not murderers. We just want to be free." They reached the command center. Through the small window, Jake could see all 7 aliens inside. They were trying to restore power to the ship. "This is it," Jake said. "Once we go in there, there's no going back." Lisa checked her weapon. "I'm ready." Amy nodded. "Let's do this." Ben smiled for the first time in months. Time to break free. Jake took a deep breath and opened the door. Jake pushed open the door to the command center. The 7 aliens turned around, their large black eyes wide with surprise. Administrator Kethfer reached for his weapon, but Ben was faster. His mining laser cut through the alien's hand before he could draw his gun. "Nobody move," Jake shouted. He pointed his energy rifle at the aliens. Behind him, Lisa and Amy spread out to cover the exits. The Zephyrians stood still. They had never seen humans fight back before. Their gray faces showed confusion and fear. "You cannot do this?" Kethfer said. Green blood dripped from his wounded hand. "Humans are not permitted to carry weapons." "We're not asking for permission anymore," Jake said. "Amy, lock down the ship. Make sure no signals get out." Amy ran to the control panel. Her fingers moved quickly over the buttons. She had been studying the alien systems for months. "Done. We're completely cut off from the outside." Lisa kept her weapon trained on the other aliens. "What do we do with them?" Jake looked at the creatures that had controlled his life for 3 years. Part of him wanted revenge. But he was still human, and humans were better than that. "Lock them in the storage bay," Jake said. "Give them food and water, but keep them under guard." Ben looked disappointed. "That's it? After everything they've done to us?" "We're not like them," Jake said. "We don't hurt prisoners." It took 2 hours to secure the ship completely. The humans searched every room and corridor. They found 3 more aliens hiding in the engine room. Soon, all 10 Zephyrians were locked safely away. Jake stood on the bridge of the ship and looked out at the stars. For the first time in years, he was free. Around him, his crew was learning to operate the alien controls. "I can't believe we did it," Danny said. His injured leg was feeling better, and his eyes were bright with excitement. "We actually took the ship." "This is just the beginning," Jake said. "Amy, do you still have those coordinates?" Amy pulled out her piece of paper. "Right here." "But Jake, we don't know what we'll find there." "Only one way to find out," Jake said. "Ben, can you get the engines running?" Ben was already working at the engine controls. "These alien systems are actually pretty simple once you understand them." "I think I can figure it out." Lisa was studying a star map. "According to this, the coordinates point to a place called the Veil Nebula. It's about 3 days away at full speed." "What's out there?" Jake asked. "Nothing, according to the official records," Lisa said. "Just empty space and gas clouds." Amy smiled. Perfect place to hide something. Jake made the decision. "Set course for the coordinates. Let's find out who's been trying to contact us." The ship turned and began moving toward the edge of the solar system. Jake felt a strange mix of fear and hope. They were leaving everything they knew behind. But they were also heading toward the possibility of real freedom. On the second day of their journey, Amy picked up the radio signal again. This time, it was much stronger. "It's definitely coming from where we're going," she said. "And Jake, there's more. I'm picking up other signals too. Lots of them." "Other ships?" Lisa asked. "Maybe. Or maybe a space station." Ben looked up from the engine controls. "I've been thinking about something. If there are free humans out there, why haven't they tried to rescue us before?" "Maybe they didn't know we existed," Jake said. "Or maybe they weren't strong enough to fight the Confederation. Or maybe," Amy said quietly, "they've been waiting for us to prove we could fight for ourselves." On the third day, they reached the coordinates. At first, Jake saw nothing but empty space and glowing gas clouds. Then Amy adjusted the sensors, and something appeared on the screen. It was huge. A space station built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, at least 10 miles across. Ships moved around it like busy insects. And according to the sensors, it was full of life. "My God," Lisa whispered. "How many people are down there?" "Thousands," Amy said. "Maybe tens of thousands." A voice came over the radio. It spoke in English, with a slight accent that Jake couldn't place. "Unknown vessel. This is Haven Station Control. Please identify yourself." Jake picked up the microphone. His hands were shaking. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the mining ship. Defiant Dawn. We're humans, and we're looking for sanctuary." There was a long pause. Then the voice came back, and Jake could hear the excitement in it. "Jake Morrison, this is Control. We've been waiting for you. Please dock at Bay 7. A welcoming committee will meet you there." The docking bay was enormous. Jake had never seen anything like it. Ships of all sizes filled the space, and most of them looked like they had been built by humans. Real humans, not aliens. As soon as their ship landed, the airlock opened. A woman walked in, followed by several others. She was about 40 years old, with short gray hair and kind blue eyes. She wore a simple jumpsuit, but she carried herself like someone in command. "Welcome to Haven Station," she said. "I'm Kate Sullivan, colony leader. We've been hoping someone like you would find us." Jake didn't know what to say. After years of being told that Earth was gone and humans were alone in the galaxy, he was standing face to face with free humans. "How many of you are there?" he finally asked. "Here on Haven? About 30,000. But we have other settlements too. Hidden colonies scattered across this part of the galaxy. In total, maybe 100,000 free humans." Danny's eyes were wide. 100,000? But the aliens told us Earth was destroyed. Kate's face grew sad. "Earth is still there, but it's under Confederation control. Most humans there don't even remember being free. But some of us escaped before the conquest was complete. We've been building new homes out here ever since." A tall man with dark skin stepped forward. "I'm Ryan Hayes, military commander. We've been monitoring Confederation communications for years. We knew there were human work crews scattered across their territory, but we didn't know how to reach you safely." "How did you reach us?" Amy asked. "We've been sending out coded signals for months," Kate explained. "Most work crews never respond. The aliens break their spirits too completely. But sometimes, rarely, we find crews like yours. Crews that still remember what freedom means." Jake looked around at his people. They all had the same expression of wonder and hope. "What happens now?" he asked. Kate smiled. "Now you have a choice. You can stay here and help us build something new. Or if you want, we can give you a ship and you can start your own colony. But first, there's something you need to know." "What's that?" You're not the only crew that's escaped recently. More and more humans are fighting back. The Confederation is starting to worry. They're planning something big to stop us." Ryan nodded. Grimly, "Our spies tell us they're developing a way to control human minds permanently. If they succeed, no human will ever be able to rebel again." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "How long do we have?" "Maybe 6 months," Kate said. "Maybe less." Jake looked at his crew. They had come so far and suffered so much. Now they were finally free, but their freedom might not last. "Then we'd better get ready to fight," he said. Jake spent his first week at Haven Station, learning things that amazed him. The free humans had built incredible technology in their hidden base. They had weapons that could destroy alien ships, computers that could break Confederation codes, and medical equipment that could heal injuries in hours instead of weeks. "How did you build all this?" Jake asked Kate as she showed him through the research labs. "Humans are good at learning," Kate said with a smile. "Every time we captured alien technology, we studied it, then we made it better." In the weapons lab, Jake met Dr. Helen Parker. She was a small woman with white hair and sharp green eyes. Before the aliens came, she had been a scientist on Earth. Now she was Haven's chief researcher. "The Confederation thinks humans are stupid," Dr. Parker said. "That's their biggest mistake. We've been improving their technology for 20 years. Our ships are faster, our weapons are stronger, and our computers are smarter." Jake picked up a small device from her workbench. "What's this?" "A neural shield," she said. "It protects your mind from alien control techniques. Every free human wears one." She handed Jake a tiny metal disc. "Put it behind your ear. You won't even feel it." Jake attached the device. Immediately, his mind felt clearer and sharper than it had in years. The aliens were using low-level mind control on you all this time. Dr. Parker explained. "Nothing dramatic, just enough to make you tired and hopeless. The shield blocks those signals." Over the next few days, Jake and his crew began training. Amy discovered she had a natural talent for the quantum communication systems. She could coordinate with resistance cells across dozens of star systems at the same time. "It's like I can feel their thoughts," Amy told Jake excitedly. "I can sense when they need help or when they're in danger." Ben worked with Haven's engineers, learning to build and repair advanced human technology. His mechanical skills sharpened. Years of maintaining alien mining equipment made him a quick learner. "These engines are based on alien designs," Ben said, "but they're so much better. We can travel 3 times faster than any Confederation ship." Lisa trained with Ryan Hayes and the military forces. She learned tactics and strategy, preparing to lead other rescued humans in battle. "You have good instincts," Ryan told her after. "A practice session. You think like a leader." But it was Danny who surprised everyone the most. The young man had always been quiet and careful. Now, with his mind free from alien influence, he showed an amazing ability to understand alien psychology. "They're not as united as they pretend," Danny explained to Jake. "I've been studying their communication patterns. Different alien species don't really trust each other. They're only working together because they're afraid of something." "Afraid of what?" Jake asked. "Us," Danny said simply. "They're afraid of humans." After 2 weeks of training, Kate called Jake to a meeting in the command center. The room was filled with leaders from other colonies, their faces appearing on communication screens. "We've received disturbing news," Kate announced. "Our spies in the Confederation have learned more about their mind control project." Ryan activated a holographic display. It showed a massive space station orbiting a distant planet. "This is Research Station Omega," Ryan said. "It's where they're developing the virus that will permanently control human minds. According to our intelligence, They're almost ready to test it. Jake felt sick. Test it on who? On the largest human population center under their control, Kate said grimly. New Terra. 2 million humans live there. Jake had heard of New Terra. It was one of the first human colonies the aliens had conquered. Most of the people there had been born under Confederation rule and had never known freedom. If the test succeeds, Kate continued, they'll release the virus on every human world. Within a year, no human anywhere will be capable of independent thought. How long do we have? Lisa asked. 3 weeks, Ryan said, maybe less. An older man on one of the communication screens spoke up. He was Commander Paul Watson from the Titan colony. Our forces aren't ready for a direct assault on Research Station Omega. It's too heavily defended. Then we make them come to us. Jake said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. What if we give them a target they can't ignore? Kate raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Haven Station, Jake said. What if we let them find us? The room erupted in angry voices. Several colony leaders started shouting at once. You want to sacrifice our home? Someone yelled. That's suicide, said another. Ryan held up his hand for silence. Let him explain. Jake stood up and walked to the holographic display. Look at this research station. It's defended by the Confederation's best ships and most elite troops. We can't attack it directly. But what if we could get them to bring the virus here, too? You? Go on, Kate said quietly. We let them discover Haven Station's location. We make it look like we're planning a major offensive from here. They'll want to stop us, so they'll bring everything they have, including the virus. Amy caught on quickly. And while their fleet is attacking us, a small team infiltrates the research station and destroys the virus. Exactly, Jake said. But it has to look real. They have to believe Haven Station is a genuine threat. Kate was quiet for a long moment. It could work, she said finally, but the cost would be enormous. We'd have to evacuate most of our people, and we'd probably lose the station. Better to lose the station than lose our freedom forever, Jake sighed. Over the next week, the plan took shape. Most of Haven's population would evacuate to other hidden colonies. A volunteer force would stay behind to make the defense look convincing. Meanwhile, Jake would lead a small team to Research Station Omega. The hardest part was choosing the team. Everyone wanted to volunteer, but Jake knew he needed specialists. Amy would come for her communication abilities. Ben would handle technical issues. Lisa would coordinate the military aspects. Danny would help them understand alien thinking. And Dr. Parker insisted on joining them. I helped design some of the systems they're using, she explained. You'll need me to destroy the virus properly. 3 days before the operation was scheduled to begin, Amy intercepted a Confederation message. Jake, you need to hear this. She said urgently. The message was from a Confederation admiral to Research Station Omega. It ordered them to accelerate their timeline. They know something is happening, Amy said. They're going to start the virus test in 5 days, not 3 weeks. Jake felt his heart sink. Can we move up our operation? Not without cutting corners, Ryan said. And cutting corners in an operation like this means people die. People are going to die anyway if we don't try, Jake said. Kate made the decision. We go tomorrow night. Signal all the colonies. Tell them it's time. That evening, Jake stood on the observation deck looking out at the stars. Tomorrow he would leave Haven Station, possibly forever. He might succeed in destroying the virus, or he might die trying. But either way, he would die free. Amy joined him at the window. Are you scared? She asked. Terrified, Jake said honestly. But I'd rather be terrified and free than safe and enslaved. Behind them, the evacuation continued. Ships launched every few minutes, carrying Haven's people to safety. Soon, Only the volunteers would remain. Jake, Amy said softly, what if we don't make it back? Then someone else will continue the fight, Jake said. That's what humans do. We never give up. The next morning, Jake's team boarded their ship. It was a small, fast vessel designed for stealth missions. As they prepared to leave, Kate came to see them off. Good luck, she said. And remember, you're not just fighting for yourselves. You're fighting for every human who has ever dreamed. Of freedom, Jake nodded. We won't let you down. As their ship left Haven Station, Jake looked back one last time. Soon, the Confederation fleet would arrive, and the battle would begin. But by then, Jake would be deep in enemy territory, racing against time to save humanity's future. The war for human freedom was about to begin. Jake's team traveled through space for 2 days in complete silence. Their small ship was designed to avoid detection, but Research Station Omega was surrounded by patrol ships and sensor arrays. One mistake would mean death. Amy sat at the communication station, monitoring Confederation messages. The fleet is moving toward Haven Station, she reported. 50 warships, including 3 of their biggest carriers. Ben checked their ship systems nervously. That's enough firepower to destroy a planet. Kate knew this might happen. Jake said, that's why most people evacuated. Through the ship's window, Jake could see their destination growing larger. Research Station Omega was a massive structure, shaped like an octopus with 8 long arms extending from a central hub. Each arm was miles long and contained different research facilities. The virus laboratory is in the center, Dr. Parker sighed, studying her notes. But we'll have to go through heavy security to reach it. Danny had been studying Confederation patrol patterns for hours. I think I found a way in, he said. They have a waste disposal system that connects to the main station. If we can get inside one of the garbage ships, ... Lisa made a face. We're going to hide in alien garbage? It's better than fighting our way through their security, Danny said. Jake made the decision. We'll do it. Amy, can you jam their sensors long enough for us to get close to a garbage ship? I can give you maybe 10 minutes, Amy said. After that, they'll know something is wrong. The garbage ship was huge and slow. It collected waste from the research station and took it to a processing facility on a nearby moon. Jake's team waited until the ship was heading back to the station. Then Amy activated her jamming signal. Ben piloted their ship close to the garbage vessel. Using cutting tools, they made a hole in its hull and climbed inside. The smell was terrible, but they were inside the enemy's defenses. I'm going to be sick, Lisa whispered. Stay quiet, Jake said. We're almost there. The garbage ship docked with Research Station Omega without any problems. Jake and his team waited until the automated systems finished unloading, then climbed out through the waste disposal tubes. They found themselves in the station's lower levels. The corridors were dark and filled with the hum of machinery. Alien workers moved past occasionally, but they paid no attention to the areas where garbage was processed. The virus lab is 15 levels up, Dr. Parker said, checking her scanner. They moved carefully through the station. Jake had studied the layout for weeks, but being inside was different. The corridors seemed to go on forever, and every shadow could hide an enemy. On the 7th level, they ran into trouble. A Zephyrian security guard was making his rounds. He spotted them and reached for his alarm. Danny reacted faster than anyone expected. He grabbed a metal pipe from the wall and struck the alien on the head. The guard collapsed without making a sound. Nice work, Jake said. Danny looked surprised at himself. I've never hurt anyone before. You did what you had to do, Lisa said. Let's keep moving. They reached the virus laboratory 20 minutes later. The doors were sealed with multiple security systems, but Ben had been studying alien technology for months. He connected his tools to the door controls and began working. "How long?" Jake asked. 5 minutes, Ben said. "Maybe less." Amy was monitoring communications. "Jake, we have a problem. The Confederation fleet just reached Haven Station. The battle has started." Through her quantum link, Amy could sense the fear and determination of the people fighting at Haven Station. Ships were exploding. People were dying, but they were holding their ground. "They're buying us time," Jake said grimly. "Let's not waste it." Ben got the door open. Inside, the virus laboratory was a maze of equipment and computers. In the center of the room was a sealed chamber containing a glowing blue substance. "That's it," Dr. Parker said. "The mind control virus." But as they approached the chamber, alarms began ringing throughout the station. "They know we're here," Amy said. Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridors outside. Jake could hear alien voices shouting orders. They had maybe 2 minutes before. The station's security forces arrived. Dr. Parker ran to the computer terminals. "I need time to access their systems. The virus is protected by multiple safeguards." "How much time?" Jake asked. 10 minutes, maybe 15. Jake looked at his team. They all knew what that meant. Someone had to hold off the security forces while Dr. Parker worked. "Lisa, take Ben and Amy and secure the entrances," Jake ordered. "Danny, help Dr. Parker with the computers." "What about you?" Amy asked. Jake picked up his weapon. "I'm going to buy us some time." Jake ran into the corridor just as the first wave of alien soldiers arrived. They were heavily armored and carried powerful energy weapons. Jake dove behind. A support beam as laser bolts filled the air around him. The aliens were professional soldiers, but Jake had something they didn't expect. He was fighting for the freedom of his entire species. That gave him strength beyond his training. He used the station's layout against them, leading them through narrow corridors where their numbers didn't matter. His mining laser cut through their armor like paper. But there were too many of them. And more kept coming. Meanwhile, in the laboratory, Dr. Parker was working frantically at the computers. "Their security is incredible," she said to Danny. "Every time I break through one layer, I find another. Can you do it?" Danny asked. "I have to," she said. Amy's voice came over their communicators. "Jake, the fleet at Haven Station is taking heavy losses. Kate says they can't hold out much longer." Jake was pinned down by enemy fire. He had taken out 6 aliens, but at least 20 more closing in on his position. "How much more time do you need?" he called to Dr. Parker. 5 more minutes. Jake knew he didn't have 5 minutes. The aliens were going to overwhelm his position any second. But then he remembered something Dr. Parker had told him about the station's design. "Amy," he called, "can you access the station's environmental systems?" "Maybe," Amy said. "Why?" "Shut down the artificial gravity in this section." Amy's fingers flew over her control panel. Suddenly, everyone in the corridor began floating. The alien soldiers were confused and disoriented. They were trained to fight on solid ground, not in zero gravity. But Jake had grown up working in space. He pushed off from the walls and ceiling, using the 3-dimensional environment to his advantage. He moved through the floating aliens like a shark through water. "Got it!" Dr. Parker shouted from the laboratory. "The virus containment is offline." Jake could see the blue glow fading from the central chamber. The virus was being destroyed by the laboratory's own safety systems, but their victory was short-lived. Amy suddenly screamed and grabbed her head. "What's wrong?" Danny asked. "Haven Station," Amy gasped. They're gone." Through her quantum link, Amy felt the moment when Haven Station's defenses finally collapsed. The Confederation fleet had broken through, and the station was being destroyed. Jake felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. Kate, Ryan, and all the brave people who had stayed behind to fight were dead. They had sacrificed everything to give Jake's team this chance. "We have to go," Lisa said urgently. "Security forces are converging on this level." Dr. Parker grabbed a data crystal from the computer terminal. "I've downloaded everything. We can use this information to find and destroy their other research facilities." Jake took one last look at the destroyed virus chamber. They had won, but the cost was terrible. Haven Station, the symbol of human freedom, was gone. "Let's get out of here," he said. But as they prepared to leave, Danny made a discovery that changed everything. "Jake," he said quietly, "you need to see this." On one of the computer screens was a list of Confederation research projects. But it wasn't just about controlling humans. The aliens were using the same techniques on their own. People. "They've been enslaving themselves for thousands of years," Danny said in amazement. "The only aliens with free will are a tiny ruling class. Everyone else is controlled." Jake stared at the screen. This changed everything. They weren't just fighting to free humanity. They could free the entire galaxy. The war was far from over. It was just beginning. Jake's team barely escaped from Research Station Omega. Their small ship was damaged, and they were running out of fuel. But they carried something more valuable than their lives: the truth about the Confederation. "We have to get this information to the other colonies," Jake said as Ben worked to repair their engines. Amy was still connected to her quantum communication network, but her face was pale with grief. "I can't reach anyone from Haven Station. They're all gone." "What about the other colonies?" Lisa asked. "They're scattered and hiding," Amy said, "but I can reach some of them." Dr. Parker was studying the data they had stolen from the research station. "This is incredible," she said. "The Confederation has been using mind control technology for over 3,000 years. They have billions of slaves across the galaxy." Danny looked at the alien languages on the computer screen. "Can we break their control?" "Maybe," Dr. Parker said. "If we can broadcast the right signal, we might be able to disrupt their mind control systems." Jake made a decision. "Do it. Send the signal to every world in the Confederation." Amy looked worried. "Jake, if we do this, we're starting a war that will involve the entire galaxy." "The war already started," Jake said. "We're just making sure the right side wins." Amy began working on the quantum transmitter. Using her enhanced abilities, she reached out across space to every communication network she could find. The signal she sent was simple: the truth about the Confederation's mind control and instructions for building devices to break free. The effect was immediate and terrifying. On the Confederation capital world, Zephyrian workers suddenly stopped their tasks and looked around in confusion. For the first time in their lives, they could think clearly. They realized they had been slaves for generations. On mining worlds throughout the galaxy, alien workers turned on their overseers. On military bases, soldiers refused to follow orders. On research stations, scientists destroyed their own weapons. Confederation's perfect order collapsed in a matter of hours. Amy monitored the chaos through her quantum link. "It's working," she said with amazement. "Entire fleets are surrendering. Some are even joining us." But not all the aliens were slaves. The ruling class, the ones who had maintained control for thousands of years, fought back desperately. They activated emergency protocols and began attacking their own people to maintain control. "We've started a civil war," Ben said as he watched the reports coming in. "We've started a revolution," Jake corrected him. Their ship received a message from an unexpected source. It was Admiral Zarthik, commander of the Confederation's Third Fleet. But his voice sounded different, confused and angry. "Human vessel." The alien said, I remember now. They took my mind when I was young, made me forget my own family. What you have done, it has freed us all." Jake picked up the communicator. "Admiral, We're sorry for what was done to you, but we had to act. You have nothing to apologize for, Zarthik said. My fleet stands ready to help you. What are your orders? Jake looked at his team in amazement. They had gone from being slaves to commanding alien fleets in less than a day. Admiral, can you reach the other free fleets? Yes, many commanders are breaking free. We are organizing. Good. Work together to protect the newly freed worlds. And? Admiral ... thank you. Over the next few days, Jake's team became the unlikely center of a galactic revolution. Amy's quantum communication abilities allowed her to coordinate resistance movements across hundreds of worlds. Ben helped design new technology to permanently break mind control devices. Lisa organized military strategies for the growing alliance. Of free beings, Danny proved to be incredibly valuable as a translator and negotiator. His understanding of alien psychology helped different species work together for the first time in millennia. Dr. Parker worked tirelessly to develop better. Freedom. Devices. Small machines that could break. Mind control and prevent it from being reimposed. But the hardest part was yet to come. The Confederation's ruling class had retreated to their most secure worlds and were planning a counterattack. They had weapons that could destroy entire star systems. They're going to try to put everyone back under control, Amy reported during one of their daily meetings. But this time, they're willing to kill billions to do it. Jake knew they had to act quickly. The freed beings needed leadership, and humanity had become the symbol of resistance. We need to establish a new government, Jake said. Something that represents all free beings. They chose New Haven, a planet that had been liberated early in the revolution. It was far from the Confederation's core worlds, but close enough. To coordinate the war effort, within a month, representatives from dozens of species arrived at New Haven. They came to establish what they called the Free Worlds Alliance. Jake found himself elected as the first human representative to the new government. The war lasted 2 years. It was brutal and costly, but the free beings had something the Confederation rulers didn't hope. They were fighting for their right to think and choose for themselves. The final battle took place at the Confederation capital. Jake commanded the human forces, while Admiral Zarthik led the reformed alien fleets. Together, they broke through the planet's defenses and captured the last of the mind control facilities. The Confederation's ruling council was found in their underground bunker, still trying to activate planet-killing weapons. They were old and afraid, creatures who had lived for centuries by controlling others. Why? Jake asked their leader, an ancient being called the Prime Controller. Why enslave entire civilizations? The Prime Controller looked at Jake with hatred. Because chaos is the natural state of the universe. We brought order. We brought peace. You brought slavery, Jake said. Real peace comes from freedom. After the war ended, Jake stood on the observation deck of the new Alliance headquarters. Through the window, he could see ships from dozens of species working together to rebuild the galaxy. Amy joined him, as she had so many times before. Are you happy? She asked. Jake thought about all they had lost and all they had gained. Haven. Station was gone, but hundreds of worlds were free. Kate and Ryan were dead, but billions of beings could now think for themselves. I'm tired, Jake said honestly. But yes, I'm happy. Lisa had become the Alliance's military commander. Ben was leading the technology development program. Danny was working as a diplomat, helping different species understand each other. Dr. Parker had returned to pure research, working on ways to heal the damage done by centuries of mind control. What about you? Amy asked Jake. What will you do now? Jake smiled. I'm going to do what humans do best. I'm going to keep exploring. There are still parts of the galaxy where beings are enslaved. Someone needs to help them break free. That sounds dangerous, Amy said. It is, Jake agreed. But someone has to do it. And I know some very good people who might want to help. 5 years after the revolution, Jake commanded a ship called the Liberation. His crew included humans and aliens, working together as equals. They traveled to the edges of known space, looking for beings who needed help gaining their freedom. Sometimes they found slave colonies that had been hidden for centuries. Sometimes they found worlds where the local rulers were trying to rebuild the old system of control. But wherever they went, they brought the same message. Freedom was possible, and no one had to live as a slave. The galaxy was still healing from thousands of years of oppression. But slowly, world by world, system by system, freedom was spreading, and it all started with one human who refused to accept that slavery was his fate. Jake Morrison had wanted to break free, and in doing so, he had helped break the chains that bound an entire galaxy. The stars were finally free, and they would never be enslaved again.